Good evening and welcome back. Welcome back to Night Court. Night Court is now in session. We are on episode 3, part 3, whatever you want to call it. We are on part 3 of the murder trial. 3. Absolutely. And so we're going to pick up where we left. We are still on day 1 of testimony. We have heard the opening statements. At this point in time, we're listening to this officer as he describes the footage of a body cam, which we stopped last night and we watched the full body cam footage on a different channel. Let's say good evening to all my honorable jurors, M. Renee, Miss Steph 219, Kathy Smith, D Love, Winter. Fix your sound, it's choppy. Okay, that might be because it's all in my mouth. Okay, is that better? I also don't have my love seat in. All right, is that better, Winter? Let me know. I think because I was hollering. I started early as can be this morning. I woke up early, Emma Renee, and just got to it. Just got to it. You know. Yes, we have had a full day. I think that's because I have been screaming all day for no particular reason. Okay, welcome to the thank you for coming to official Lit Lane Juror, D Love. Thank you. And welcome. Okay, it's time. It seems like I'm continually buying new microphones, right? Um, because this microphone has been giving me issues, and this is a pretty much a newer microphone. I had the best microphone ever for a couple of years, and ever since I had to replace that one, boy, it ain't been nothing nice. Hmm. I don't even see my thing moving. I don't even see my bubble moving on my screen. So I don't even know. I'm trying to go to my settings on here. Give me one moment. Hey, uh, let's see. Okay, so I cut echo cancellation back on because it said does not turn this off. Do not turn this one off unless you have a high quality microphone. I don't think I got that. And are wearing headphones or don't have any guests. I am wearing headphones. Mm, unless you have. Okay, how is? Oh my! I can't never start this nighttime. Night court always start off so horribly. Winter, you just made me literally choke to death. Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm sorry for that horrible beginning, but I want y'all to know I am in good spirits and I hope that you guys are too. Let me go ahead and do this correctly. Welcome, D Love. Thank you for becoming an official Lit Lay Juror here in the Lit Lay Jury Box. Thank you so much for your support, and you've been coming through, and now you have made it official. Good evening, Chill Out. Good evening, VA Sag. How can y'all hear me? I seem to have been screaming all day today for no reason. I'm talking just super loud all day. I don't know what's wrong. I have not drank any coffee since the earlier live. Speaking of coffee, speaking of the earlier live, I have my doctor's appointment in the morning. So I won't be here for day court. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just go take care of my laundry, go to the doctor's, and just go ahead and get all that out the way. I do believe, hey, Candy Kane, I will be here. I'll be here Friday. and I'll be here. Let me not stay on the weekend, but my honey going to work. So my honey going to work. My son not going to be here. So I'm not going to make no promises, but it seems like I'll be able to do something this weekend to make up for that for tomorrow day. Okay. But either way it go, good evening, everybody. Let's get started because, hey, time waits for no one. Let's get started. We are on part 3. I ain't hollering tonight. Let's get started. Okay, hold on. And then I'm going to come in and break down key points that we've already learned, okay? Let's see. The Murdaugh trials, day 1 testimony.
No. Hey, Cody, come around the truck and then go to the building.
They listened to the body cam footage, remember?
Behind the trailer there.
Yes.
I don't know if it's
What's that?
ours or not. There's a set of footprints behind the trailer there too.
Who's that individual right there?
I'm not sure of his name. I just know that he works for Carleton County Fire Rescue. Carleton County Fire Rescue.
That's how we kind of stepped out of this whole view. So we stepped over and let him.
About 30, 8 the last one in and grabbing the 10.
In the background in the center of the screen, looks like somebody's doing something with some yellow tape. Can you explain what that is to the jury, please?
That's correct. That's Deputy Pruitt, one of the deputies that I supervise. I instructed him to put up crime scene tape to include that vehicle. We put up crime scene tape to try to keep people out of the immediate crime scene area, preserve any possible evidence that's there.
At this point in time, did you notice any evidence of firearms such as casings or spent shells or anything like that?
Yeah, as I was walking through, you can't necessarily see it on my body camera, but as I was walking through, I could see shell casings, particularly around Maggie's body.
All right. And a shell casing, would they be for like a rifle round or a pistol round?
They appear to be rifle rounds.
And could you tell just from walking by what type of ammunition at that point in time?
I couldn't tell what type. I could tell that they appeared to be rifle, and that's about it.
And again, you weren't stopping to collect those. You were managing the scene as you described before.
That's correct. Let's go over to that corner of the building.
I'm almost to you. Let me see what we have first and whether or not we're going to handle that part or not.
What are you shining your light on right there?
So there in the background behind where Mr. Murdaugh is standing, you can see several sets of tire tracks. The grass was really wet that night, so those tracks appeared to be really fresh. So it caught my eye.
And why did it catch your eye?
It just seemed odd that it appeared to be that many sets of tire tracks since he said he pulled up, went to the house, and came back. It just appeared that there were more than just that.
It appeared that there were more tracks than just that.
That's correct.
I see quite a few tire tracks in here. Were any of these you going in and out?
No, I came in here and I left one time and I came back.
Okay.
But the rest of them, maybe
Okay.
from earlier, but
Okay.
only 2 are mine.
Did you go out this way at all?
No.
Village right.
Hey, stay. Got a whole bunch of stuff right there. I don't want to disturb.
I know that I was trying to close the door here so we can kind of get around that way.
Your best way is probably going to be back through those rocks because we can't get any tracks off those rocks.
We'll go back around the other way we just came.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. You have your name for him?
Yes.
Okay, I'll get that in a little bit. Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
Whose vehicle are you approaching right now?
That was the vehicle that Mr. Murdaugh said that he had approached that scene in.
Was that a black Suburban, to your recollection?
It is.
What unit's 23 on was that? I was 7 unit off scene. Are you behind the house?
There's several of us out here. There's
Right there, that would be Maggie's body right in front of that shed, is that correct?
That's correct. It's covered up by a sheet at this point.
a long dirt driveway right next to the mailbox that says 4147, and you'll see all our lights down here at this shed thing.
You didn't come through Brick Hollow.
Negative.
Delta 89 on duty, Murdaugh.
Who was that standing way off in the distance there?
That would be Mr. Murdaugh.
Where did he spend the majority of his time while you were there after your initial interaction with him?
From this point on, his general time was spent in that area where he's currently standing.
Pretty far away from the scene?
That's correct.
Delta 653. Telephone Saudi.
What was occurring right there?
So what was occurring right there?
Yeah.
So both of those deputies, or Deputy Pruitt would be on the left and Deputy McDowell would be on the right. Deputy McDowell was taking small pieces of crime scene tape and just setting them by shell casings, I believe. As road patrol officers, we don't generally have those little placards that you'll a lot of times see in crime scene photos. But to prevent somebody from accidentally stepping on them due to it being so dark out there, we tend to take something small like a piece of paper, a piece of crime scene tape, set it next to it just to indicate it a little bit better.
Again, part of the job of a first responder to sort of protect the scene until the crime scene investigators get there.
That's correct.
Both these individuals, were you supervising them that night?
I was, yes.
Yeah.
Looking at this perspective right here, to the left of the screen is whose body?
To the left right there in the forefront would be Maggie, and in the further back you can also see where Paul is laying.
Okay. Was Paul next to or in the kennel area?
Yes.
I think his brother. He said he was calling somebody. He said he was calling somebody. Yeah, I'm sure he was. There's a couple of shell casings right there.
Yeah, those will be easy to find. I was just walking and saw something in the gravel. It might be harder to see at some point. Y'all familiar with this family? Yes.
I wasn't until he told me names. Last name Murdaugh.
Did you know this family prior to this?
I did not.
I don't think it's going to be anything.
What's that?
Did I say?
You said for Evo to do?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hey.
Who was Evo?
Evo would be Deputy McDowell's K9.
Hey, watch your step. Huh? There. Okay.
Who is that approaching right now?
That would be my immediate supervisor at the time, Lieutenant Lonnie Nettles.
The gentleman in the white shirt is the husband of her, the father of him. That is Paul Murdaugh. That's just his mother. Paul Murdaugh was that guy in the boating accident from a while back, if you remember.
Yeah.
Just then, were you describing the boat wreck?
Yes, it had been in local news previously.
Okay, I just figured out what happened. So they had opening statements on day one, and then that was it. And so is day two that we watching, and I'm trying to get the one from Court TV because this is from 11 Alive, a news station. And that may be why they're not showing the body cam footage while he's testifying. So I think I'll be able to rectify that. 1 second. Let me see. I just pulled it up. It should be in my history right here. Okay. And it's this. And this is actually from Court TV. So they should be showing it. And if not,
That's correct. It's covered up by a sheet at this point.
A long dirt driveway right next to the mailbox says 4147, and you'll see all our lights down here at this
I
shed
don't know
thing.
why they're not showing it. But whatever.
You didn't come through Brick Hollow.
We're going to just go to the next witness. Because we watched the whole body cam footage last night.
Tire tracks, and you went over and looked at those tire tracks, and there were multiple tires. Narrowly.
Okay, cross-examination. All right, y'all. Sidebar. Excuse me. I continue watching that trial today. And so when we pick back up on the bedtime murder trial, the daytime trial, I got some interesting points of conversation to talk about that we talked about today. Some answers to some questions. But I'll show y'all that footage. It was very graphic. My head started hurting.
Himself.
Okay.
Is that correct? That's out on the scene.
Yes.
She had been shot multiple times, and he had been shot with a shotgun. At least one of the shots, we all believe was upward. That's why his brains were all over the ceiling.
That part I don't know. I wasn't involved in that part of
At the scene.
I did not discuss
Welcome back, Miss
anything
Queen.
being shot upward. I don't recall saying that.
Did you hear discussions to that of your fellow officers?
Of a shot being fired upward? That's what it looked like they were saying, yes.
Okay. And further, I think in front of you, one of the officers saying that brains are on the ceiling, there's blood all over the place, correct?
I don't recall them saying brain was upward. I don't recall.
Okay. And further, you, as you're discussing this with them, indicate, make sure I get this correct. You indicate there are multiple, or someone indicates to you there are multiple blackout rounds around Maggie's body in the vicinity, correct?
Not rounds, but shell casings.
All right, shell casings. Now, let me ask you this. When you got there, didn't the fire chief and the fire department arrive before you did?
No, sir. I was first on scene.
Okay, did they arrive while you were there?
One of the fire rescue workers, I believe it was Barry McCroy.
And when you got there, we hear unidentified person, and in your notes, you indicate it was the fire chief, I believe, that indicated to you, pointed out to you tire tracks, and you went over and looked at those tire tracks, and there were multiple tire tracks coming and going, correct?
I don't know that someone indicated them to me. I believe I just saw them.
Okay. And what did you do to preserve those?
The tire tracks, nothing.
And you certainly are not an expert in tire tracks.
I'm not.
So you couldn't tell whether it was multiple vehicles or one vehicle.
No,
And it may have been multiple vehicles.
may have been.
Did you take pictures of the tracks?
I did not take any pictures of the scene.
Instruct anyone to take pictures of the tracks?
No, sir, that's not my job.
When SLED arrived, did you tell them about the tracks?
No, sir, not my job.
Do you regret not doing that?
It's not part of my job description.
So what's your job to even tell them there were multiple tire tracks?
If it had come up, if I had been asked, yes.
And in addition to that, since they were not secured in any way, multiple vehicles, law enforcement vehicles and others, drove over those tracks.
That's possible. I wasn't over there the whole time to know what kind of vehicles were driving in the area.
Well, by the time SLED got there, did you strike that? You never took SLED over and pointed out tire tracks.
Not to my recollection, I did not.
Was there somebody there with your department that should have done that?
I have no idea what they do with their job descriptions as far as what they point out to additional investigators.
Did somebody from Fire and Rescue point out footprints?
I believe on my body camera there is a fire rescue individual pointing out some footprints.
Okay, did you take pictures of those?
I did not.
Did you tell SLED about them?
I did not.
So nobody attempted to determine whether those were Maggie's footprints, Paul's footprints, or at least that night, there was no effort by you or your department to preserve those?
By me, no, I cannot speak for everyone else.
Okay. And let me ask you this. How about go to 4439, please? And let's watch 10, at least 10, if not 15 seconds of that. Well, you know what, let's go with it before you do all that. Sure. Okay, if you go to page 17, line 10.
What is they doing?
Your Honor, I'd object. They're putting a transcript that's not been,
No, we're going to play the video.
it's up on the screen. It's up on the screen, Your Honor, I'd object.
I apologize.
Can you take it down, please? Thank you.
We have to prepare the transcript. It's synced with the video.
Okay, well, I object to that. Your Honor, I object. This transcript's not been provided. There's no need for a transcript. The officer is here. They can play the video and he can comment on it.
The transcript being offered.
No, I'm using it to direct the audio visual man to the clip.
Well, you have questions for the witness, questions for your IT guy, you're just reading, ready to proceed. I understand, and we're waiting for you. Okay.
I say welcome back, BA. Good evening.
I'm ready. What was the time? 17?
It's page 17.
It's too late in the evening for this.
You know, that's the Suburban
were under my immediate supervision until someone higher than me arrived on scene.
Sorry, yeah.
And
I don't
were
know what the
were
hell
those
going on.
deputies directed by you or anyone to do something to preserve the tire tracks? Pictures, cordon them off, cover them up?
I did not give anyone that instruction, no.
So you didn't do that. In terms of Paul, where Paul was laying, was anybody instructed, put a cordon around him? There's no reason to go into the feed room. There's no reason to do anything obtrusive until the SLED crime scene process is. They're on the way at this point, right?
I believe they were, yes.
And so if okay, so let's put the other one up. And identify this for me, please.
That's Maggie Murdaugh.
Your Honor, may we approach here briefly?
Oh, yeah, this trial gonna have to pick up better than this. I don't know. He looked like a big buck attorney. Nah, he acting like he on drugs too, just like his client.
Well, who are those officers that were walking around her without a light on, perhaps stepping on evidence, correct? Who are those officers?
Deputy McDowell and Deputy Pruitt were both in that area.
Were they doing that pursuant to your instruction?
They were not specifically instructed to do it. They just took the initiative to do it.
Okay, I don't know. I want to play. What you got on the worksheet?
You ready? Do I have to turn the ammo off? Are you good? Yep, we're good.
Those desks over there.
Okay, so this is, your officer is putting a sheet on Paul's body?
Not putting a sheet on. The sheet was already there.
Already there, okay, continue, please.
So people just, fire rescue might have some more sheets we can steal. That's why I shouldn't be back to the law enforcement, so it's law enforcement.
Who's that? Stop. Who's that standing inside the feed room?
Just inside that doorway was
Yeah.
Deputy McDowell.
Okay, were you the president? Oh, is that your body cam? So you're watching him do it, right?
That's correct.
Should he have done that?
Stand where he's standing.
Standing inside the feed room?
It's part of the crime scene. We're all standing inside the crime scene.
Inside what?
The crime scene? We are all standing in the same crime scene.
I understand the same crime scene, but clearly you believe, based on discussion, and everyone in your unit believed, that the fatal shot was made where he's basically standing, correct? That in that area?
Where we are all standing.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is that procedure to walk around on top of an area where shots have been fired? That perhaps, and I think even in this, they're talking about tissue or brain matter laying there. I mean, aren't you supposed to? You don't put anything on your feet.
Is there a question? There's not a question in that statement.
Mr. Stain, you must pose questions.
Did you in any way have your men or women put protective gear on their feet? I saw you put gloves on, but did they put anything to insulate themselves from contaminating the scene?
On their feet, no.
In many instances, departments around the country have people dressed in a gown to keep their DNA, their hair from contaminating the scene. Did you do that?
We do not on road patrol of Gallatin County as
None of the
as
regular
standard
cops
practice.
do that.
You do
That be
not.
the CSI. He being
Not a standard
ridiculous.
practice,
Have you ever done that?
I have not.
Have you ever had something covering your feet when you're walking on a crime scene?
I couldn't tell you that for sure.
Now, if we later on find, and did you notice bloody footprints? Well, first of all, did you notice bloody footprints inside the feed room?
I don't remember seeing any.
Sorry?
I don't remember seeing any bloody footprints.
Okay. if there were bloody footprints in the feed room, could they have been created by you or your men?
They could have been created by anyone walking in that area, sure.
And you're walking in there, or your men are walking in there, correct?
Yeah, correct.
And you think that's standard operating procedure?
Well, you do your best not to contaminate anything.
And this is your best?
What you're looking at right now is standard procedure.
To walk in an area where there's blood, where there's brain matter, where there's, and I believe there was wadding laying on the floor?
I don't recall.
But you would agree with me that you have these procedures so that you don't contaminate the crime scene, so that you don't destroy evidence like those tire tracks or those footprints, or leave your DNA, or in some way alter the scene so that if, I mean, you would agree with me, so that, let me finish the question, so that if there is exculpatory or inculpatory evidence that would help you find the perpetrator and prosecute him, or evidence that would clear somebody, that was destroyed. Some of that was destroyed that night because you, your department, and maybe even SWED, didn't preserve that evidence.
He
Isn't that
was
correct?
trying it.
I'm not sure if I fully understand your question.
The question is this: if you are exfoliating, you're standing, your men are standing in the spot, and there was evidence there, or the tire tracks that weren't preserved, or the footprints that weren't preserved, that evidence could either incriminate somebody or exculpate somebody. Could, correct?
Could, yes.
That's why you don't do this, right?
That's why you don't contaminate the evidence, correct?
Child, what is going on? I hope, we're gonna skip to the next witness. I don't know what the hell going on with him. I hope he gonna get his head together.
Just a couple more questions.
Is it just me, or was that just as disjointed as can be? That was wild.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give to the court in this trial shall be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. If you'll have a seat and adjust that microphone, make sure you speak into that microphone. State your name and spell your last name, please.
My name is Chad McDowell. The last name is spelled McDowell.
Corporal McDowell, how you doing today?
Good.
Tell the jury where you work, please.
I work for College County Sheriff's Office. I'm assigned to road patrol as a canine handler.
Okay, and can you just give us a quick background of who you are, where you grew up, and how you ended up in your career in law enforcement?
Sure. I grew up in Colleton County, went to Colleton County High School, went to college at Tri-County Technical College, where I studied criminal justice. Once I reached age, I came home, was hired by Colleton County Sheriff's Office, left for a couple of years to go work for Jasper County, and then came back to Colleton. I've been assigned to road patrol at Colleton.
All right, and what year did you first start working for Colleton County Sheriff's Department, or began your law enforcement career?
2016.
All right. And what's your current, you said you're a corporal now, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what is your current assignment? What are your duties?
I'm still assigned to road patrol. I'm a canine handler.
All right, and you say canine. Explain to the jury what that is.
So I have a canine that is assigned to me. We respond to certain calls, or if we're requested by another deputy for narcotics searches for suspects, things of that matter.
All right, and canine is a dog, correct?
That's correct.
All right, what's your dog's name?
Eva.
Eva? What kind of dog is Eva?
He's a Belgian Malinois.
Malinois?
Yep.
Is that kind of like a German Shepherd?
Kind of short-haired, pointy ears.
I got you. Short hair, pointy ears. All right. Is Evo typically with you when you're out on patrol?
Yes, sir.
Was Evo with you the night of June 7th, 2021?
Yes, sir.
Were you a corporal then at that time?
No, sir. I was a deputy.
All right. And who was on the squad that you were on?
Sergeant Daniel Green, Corporal Elise Janicki, myself, and Deputy Cody Pruitt.
And so who was your immediate supervisor?
It would have been Corporal Janicki.
Okay, and then above that is?
Sergeant Green.
All right, and then above that?
Lieutenant Nettles.
All right, and then above that?
Captain Kraus.
Okay. All right. What shift were you working the night of June 7th, 2021?
Yes, sir, I was.
And that was in Colleton County?
Yes, sir.
And what shift were you working that night?
Night shift.
Did you ultimately respond to a call for service at 4147 Moselle Road?
Yes, sir.
And you actually went there?
I did.
And did you come to the incident location at the kennels at that property at 4147 Moselle Road?
I did.
Is that in Colleton County?
It is.
Were you, when you arrived, what other first responders were on scene to your recollection?
Sergeant Green was there. There was one other fire rescue personnel vehicle in there. I believe the rest were staged, best I can remember. When I say staged, I mean at the head of the driveway. There may have been a couple of other apparatuses on scene.
And which, do you recall which driveway you entered? Did you enter the driveway near the kennels? Where you came from the
Yes,
kennels?
sir. It was same driveway everyone else entered.
So you were parked behind Sergeant
Green.
Green's?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What did you do after that? After you got out of your vehicle, what did you do?
I approached the crime scene. I was trying to make my way to Sergeant Green to see what he needed me to do. I made my way through the crime scene as carefully as I could. I approached Sergeant Green, saw that he was interviewing the only person on scene, so I went back to my vehicle.
Okay. And did you see who he was interviewing?
Mr. Murdaugh, yes, sir.
Do you see him in the courtroom here today?
Yes, sir.
Can you point him out?
Yes, sir. He's in the middle, navy blue suit.
Your Honor, can the record reflect he's identified the defendant?
It does.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 6 to your testimony.
No objection.
Admitted, not objection.
And this is a disc, but I want you to take a look at it and see if you recognize this disc.
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, and what is on this disc?
It'd be body cam footage from my body cam that I wore.
All right, and how do you know that this is that body cam footage?
It has my initials on it.
All right.
Lord, I hope we
this
can
and
see
put
this
your
body
initials
cam.
on, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're not gonna see his either. Oh Lord.
If I could get input, please.
They are starting off hella weak.
Let me ask you this. When you got this call for service, were you currently on another call for service, or are you just out on patrol?
No, sir, I was just out on patrol.
I bet Court TV was having a fit.
Once you got that call for service, what did you do? Did you activate your lights and sirens?
Activated lights and sirens and responded to the incident location.
And once you do that, do you make all haste to get to that incident location as fast, but it also as reasonably safe as you can?
Yes, sir.
Is that standard operating procedure?
Yes, sir.
The first 10 minutes, sorry. The first 10 minutes of this body cam are essentially you driving to the scene, is that correct, roughly?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to fast forward to closer in time when you arrive. I heard proceed to the route. What was that?
I had a GPS activated on my phone.
Just like most people use, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Take a slight left turn. In a quarter mile,
758's on sale, Moselle.
758.
Are these the kennels that you saw when you arrived at the property?
Yes, sir.
And to the right is sort of the shed or the hangar, is that correct?
That's correct.
Let me ask you this. You're obviously serving as a road patrol officer, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you, what is your job as a road patrol officer as a...
Okay, y'all, I'm making a judicial decision because we can't see the footage to skip past him with this body cam footage because that's a lot of testimony. We can't even see what they're talking about. Okay, let's see what this sister girl gonna bring us. The next witness. I don't know why they starting off so horribly on a trial of this prominence and magnitude. Like, seriously, who is this black girl? The judge don't look happy either. He look just like somebody, Pastor Raymond or Deacon Raymond, huh?
The jury is present.
All right, thank you. Your next witness.
Tanish Bryson Smith.
You'll come up here, please.
Thank you. Take a seat in the witness stand. State your name again for the record. Spell your last name.
First name Tanish, last name Bryson Smith, Bryson-Smith.
Good afternoon, Ms. Bryson Smith.
Good afternoon.
Could you tell the jury where you work?
Hampton County E911,
And how long have you worked for Hampton County E911?
17 years.
And what is E911?
Emergency Services Dispatch Center.
And what do you do there?
Currently, I am in a director position, just instated in December. I am over the management of day-to-day operations of the 911 Dispatch Center for Hampton County, including budgeting, payroll, like I said, day-to-day operations, and record keeping, recordings, etc.
Okay. Does the Hampton County 911 keep records in the normal course of business?
We do.
And what kind of recordings are these?
We have audio recordings from 911 phone calls, administrative line phone calls, as well as video recordings from our radios from the field.
Are all 911 calls recorded?
They are.
And how are these calls stored?
They're stored on our NextLog data recording systems.
How long are they stored for?
As long as we need them.
And who has access to those records?
I do.
Does anybody else?
No, ma'am.
Just you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how do you access the records?
There is a database in my office that I have to log into to access any recordings that is requested.
Okay. All right. Sometimes do calls from another county, such as Colleton County, come into Hampton County?
They do.
And why does that happen?
Cell phones pick up on the nearest PSAP based upon the location of that cell phone at the time of call. PSAP meaning Public Safety Answering System.
Okay. And why does it pick up on that, on the location, and send it to Hampton as opposed to Colleton?
Due to the geographical location of a phone call or a phone when that call is made, that cell phone picks up at that tower, and the tower, wherever the nearest PSAP is where that cell phone will be routed to.
And what do you do when you in Hampton County receive a call from Colleton that's supposed to be going to Colleton County?
We transfer that call out to Colleton County.
Okay. All right, back on June 7th of 2021, did you receive a call from Alec Murdaugh?
We did.
And that call came into Hampton County, is that correct?
That's correct.
And what did happen to that call when it came in?
Once it was determined that the call was located, the location of the emergency was Colleton County, we transferred that call out to Colleton County.
And you determined the Colleton County location how?
Based upon the numerics and the address that was given, once we plug that information into our system, it populates in Colleton County.
Well, the record reflect, I'm showing the witness takes, what's marked as takes Exhibit 9.
No objection, Your Honor.
States Exhibit 9 is admitted without objection.
States Exhibit 9 is a disc. Can you tell us what is on that disc?
The initial 911 call that came in on the night in question.
And how do you know that call is on that disc?
I was able to listen to it, and I dated it and initialed on the 23rd of January.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move Exhibit 9 into evidence.
Already been admitted without objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
My wife and child just got stabbed. Okay, you said 4147 Mobile Road in Allison? Sir? You said 4147 Moselle Road in Allison? Yes, sir. 4147 Moselle Road. Stay on the line with me, okay? Yes, sir. Stay on the line with me, okay? Hello? I'm still here. Stay on the line. I'm still here, okay? Collison, I have an Alex Murdaugh on the line calling from 4147 Moselle Road. He's advising that his wife and child was shot. Mr. Murdaugh, go ahead and talk to Collison. It's 4147 Moselle Road. I've been up to it now. It's bad. How did they shoot? Did they shoot themselves? Oh, no. Hell no. Okay, and are they breathing? No, ma'am. Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son? My wife and my son. Are they in a vehicle? No, ma'am. They're on the ground out at my kennel. I can tell that he's shot in the head, and he's shot really bad. He's shot really bad.
The state has no further questions for this witness.
By the defense. Cross-examination.
Thank you for your indulgence. Just a couple of questions, Your Honor. So explain to me how this works. A call came into you in what county?
Hampton County.
Hampton County.
Correct.
And how, when you dial 911, how does it determine what county to send it to?
When you dial 911, the cell phone company picks up that it's a 911 call being placed. They hit the nearest cell phone tower, and based upon the location of that cell phone tower, is routed to the nearest PSAP, or Public Safety Answering System.
Okay, so the nearest cell phone tower to Moselle would
Was
be?
Walterboro Highway Tower.
Okay, okay. And you're from Hampton?
I am.
That's not you on the phone, is it?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you know the Murdaughs, or do you know Alec Murdaugh and his family?
Not too much, yes. I mean, a little bit, but.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything further? You may step down. Thank you.
Okay, so I found 2 different documentaries to watch. The one from Netflix
Okay, next
and
witness.
Angela
Another.
Stallings.
she's so polite.
You affirm the testimony about to give the court shall be the truth, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Take a seat. State your name again for the record. Spell your last name.
Angela Stallings, Stallings.
Hi, Captain Stallings.
Good afternoon.
Could you please tell the jury where you work?
I work at the Colleton County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. And how long have you worked there?
I have approximately 15 years with the Sheriff's Office.
What are some of your duties and responsibilities at the Sheriff's Office?
I am the Administrative Services Captain. I oversee the 911 Center. I'm over our Civil Process Division, Court Security, our School Resource Officers, our Sex Offender Registry Division, training, supply, and the hiring process, and records.
You have quite a lot of duties there.
Yes, ma'am.
In the course of your duties, do you keep records of 911 calls?
We do.
Can you explain to the jury what happens when a 911 call comes into Colleton County?
Yes, ma'am. So when a call comes into Colleton County, it hits our recorder system. As soon as the call connects to the recorder and starts ringing, our recorder automatically starts recording automatically. It starts recording before we even answer the phone.
And is a recording of all 911 calls that come into Colleton County Center kept?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
And how are those records kept?
They're kept on our server that is the Carolina recording software system that we use.
Who has access to those records?
Myself and one other employee.
Is it normal for y'all to have calls routed from Hampton County to Colleton County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and why does that happen?
Depending on the location of the call within the county, we border several counties. Depending on if it's a cell phone that is calling 911, depending on the closest available cell tower, it will hit that tower. Wherever that tower is located, it routes to that PSAP.
All right, on June 7th of 2021, did Colleton County receive a transferred 911 call from Hampton County?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
And what time did that call come in?
May I look at my notes?
Yes.
That call came in at 22:07:09, which is 10:07:09 p.m.
And the notes you're referencing up there, is that some kind of report that's generated when the call comes in, or what are you looking at?
Yes, ma'am. This is a report that's generated through our recorder software.
Okay. So you received a call from 10:07 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Who was that call from?
Hampton County.
Okay. And who was the caller?
The caller was Alex Murdaugh.
I'm showing you State's Exhibit 11. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 11?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
What is it?
It is a disc of the 911 call.
And how do you know that?
It has my initials and date that I reviewed it.
And this is a true and accurate depiction of the 911 call made by Alec Murdaugh.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Your Honor, at this time I'd move State's Exhibit 11 into evidence.
Okay.
Submitted without objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
June. June 7th, 2021, 22 hours, 7 minutes, 9 seconds.
Family.
Confirmation vacation. Okay, and sir, give me the address again. It's 4147 Murdaugh Road. I've been up to it now. It's fast. Okay. How did they shoot? Did they shoot themselves? Oh no, hell no. Okay, and are they breathing? No, ma'am. Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son? My wife and my son. Are they in a vehicle? No, ma'am, they're on the ground out at my kennel. Okay, and did you see anyone? In the head, and he's shot really bad. He's got okay, where is he shot at? Ma'am, I don't know, but he's got blood everywhere. His brain. A little bit. Got a hole in her head. Okay, is he breathing at all? No, nobody. Okay, do you see anyone in the area? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Is there any guns near them at all? No, I just here. They call you off on the outside. If that's what you're asking, they didn't shoot themselves, ma'am. What? Callers come off on the outside. It's like you can't see it from the road. Okay, is it a house or a mobile home? It's a house. Okay, and what is your name? My name is Alex Murdaugh. Okay, did you hear anything, or did you come home and find out? Well, I've been gone. I just came back. Okay, and was anyone else supposed to be at your house? No, ma'am. Please hurry. We're getting somebody out there to you. Should have known. Okay, so what is her name? Maggie and Paul. Maggie is her name? Yes, ma'am. Okay. When's the last time you talked to Maggie? Hour and a half ago, probably 2 hours ago. What? Okay, Okay, you said about 2 hours ago you talked to them?
Approximately, yes, ma'am, approximately.
Okay, did she say what they were doing at all?
No, I talked to her in person.
You talked to her in person? We're getting to my other two. We asked you these questions, don't slow them down, okay? And you sure they're not breathing? Is he moving at all, your son? I know you said that she was shot in the head, but what about your son?
Nobody. They're not. They're going over to me.
What is your telephone number?
942-1227. I'm going back to my house just to get a gun just in case. I'm about a minute dark in my house.
And did anything look out of place?
Not particularly, really, no ma'am.
Okay. Look, I know you're upset, Mr. Murdaugh, but I don't want you to get a gun and have a gun out whenever the officers get there, okay?
I will not do that. He's been being threatened by my son had a boat that he's been being threatened for months and months and months. He's been hit several times and
Do you know who was threatening your son?
it's too many. Oh,
And you don't know the name of who was threatening him at all?
my son knows. My son knows.
Your son knows who was threatening him?
I have another son now.
Okay.
All right, I'm going back down there.
And Captain Stallings, there's a break between parts in this call. Why is that?
The way our recorder system is set up, if there is a pause with either the call taker or the caller not talking, the recorder automatically cuts off. As soon as it starts to hear someone talking, it automatically kicks back on and starts recording.
June 7th, 2021, 22 hours, 13 minutes, 58 seconds.
Multiple people coming out there to you. Okay. Okay, can you do me a favor, Mr. Murdaugh, and turn on the flashers on your car so that way they can see where the kennels are? text them just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
I already started trying to get to see if they were breathing.
Okay. Well, I just don't want you to move anything just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
He did. So what's your son's name?
Paul.
Paul?
Dude, I want to call, I need to call some of my family.
Okay. Well, do me a favor for me. Whenever you see the officer or the medics, because they're all coming to you, can you put your gun in your vehicle for me?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we have them come and turn on the flashing on your vehicle so they can see you, okay? You got the flashers on for me? Okay. All right. Just whenever you see them, put your gun up for me, okay?
Okay.
How old is your son?
22.
Okay. All right. We're getting them out there to you, okay? All right.
Thank you, Captain Stallings. The state has no further questions.
Yes, ma'am.
No question, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Now, earlier today in the other case, I said they sound too panicked and too everywhere. And now this guy sounds too
Call your next
calm.
witness.
I guess there's no right way.
Hello. Raise your right hand, left hand on the Bible. You swear affirm that the testimony you're about to give the court shall be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Take a seat in the witness stand. State your name again for the record. Spell your last name.
Barry McRoy, McRoy.
Chief McRoy, could you please tell the jurors where you work?
Work for Colleton County Fire and Rescue.
And what is your position?
I'm the fire chief.
The fire chief of Colleton County Fire and Rescue?
That is correct.
And how long have you worked at Colleton County Fire and Rescue?
29 years.
And about how many scenes do you think you have responded to over the years?
I have no idea. Many thousand.
What are some of the training that you need to do to be a paramedic or respond with fire and rescue?
Well, that has changed greatly over the years, but presently, to be a paramedic, you have to have been an EMT for, we recommend 2 years, which that's about a 500-hour course, and then you take a paramedic course, which is about 1,500 hours. In Colleton County, we require people to be cross-trained, so they have a 500-hour firefighter course as well.
And are you yourself a paramedic?
I am.
And how long have you been a paramedic?
Since 1981.
What would be the normal procedures when responding to a gunshot, to treat gunshot wounds or to a shooting?
Well, when you initially respond, the law enforcement that's responsible for that jurisdiction typically clears the scene to make sure that it's safe for the other responders. When we arrive, we want to evaluate the patients to make sure that if they've got some injuries that we can treat, we treat them, and we transport them to the closest trauma center.
So if someone has been shot, what would you normally do to initially treat that person?
We would control their bleeding, protect their airway, get them transported as quickly as possible. It may involve starting IVs. In Colleton County, we carry blood, so we could administer blood to the patient if they required it.
Did you respond to Moselle Road on June 7th of 2021?
I did.
And tell us about what you did when you got there.
I was on my way home from work, and I heard the sheriff's department on their radio dispatch units to the address in question, and they advised that there was 2 people shot. Shortly thereafter, they dispatched fire rescue units, and we have a standard protocol of what they send. There were multiple patients, so they dispatched 2 ambulances and put a helicopter on standby, and then a supervisor is also dispatched. We also send the closest fire station, which in that case was the one from Islandton. I responded from Walterboro, and I did arrive ahead of everybody else. Dispatch had told us not to go onto the scene, so I staged about the 3900 block. And a few minutes later, a deputy passed me, and I went in behind the deputy, which was Mr. Green that y'all listened to earlier.
And what did you see when you were driving onto the scene?
It was really dark. Had a long dirt driveway, and when we arrived, there was some kennels off to the left and like a big barn with the 3-lane lean-to on the right-hand side.
Okay.
Okay, what they doing? You look so horrible. Wow. How was this man able to mask opioid use like that
I'm going to show you what's been
over
marked.
20 years
This
in that
takes
type of position?
exhibits 51, 49, 24, and 21. I just ask you to take a look at these pictures and tell me.
Uh-oh.
Are you familiar with those pictures?
Yes, ma'am. This does appear to be the accident scene.
I know, right, family?
These are true and accurate depictions of the crime scene that night.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, this time I would move takes 51, 49, 24, and 21 into evidence, which takes exhibits 24 and 51 being sealed with the agreed upon placeholders.
No, okay.
You're admitted without objection.
So Chief McCoy, could you tell us how you observed the victims when you got to the scene?
Deputy Green went through the scene first. He actually drove a little ways in between the kennels and the lean-to. It was very dark, so he needed his headlights to see what was going on there. There was animals in the kennels. I don't know how many, but there was also some chickens fluttering around on the equipment on the right-hand side. The body of a younger male subject was face down by the kennels. He had some very severe injuries to the head. And there was a female subject at the end of the lean-to. She was also face down with severe injuries to her head. And there was a gentleman standing off a little distance away from it, and he was on a cell phone and seemed very upset.
Did you recognize that gentleman?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was that?
Alex Murdaugh.
And how did you recognize him?
I have met him in the past on a professional basis because we have had to do depositions and such with his law firm.
Case Exhibit 21. Can you describe what the jury is looking at in this picture?
On the left-hand side of the photograph is the covered body of Paul Murdaugh, and the down towards the end of the lean-to is you can see the covered body of Miss Maggie Murdaugh.
And those bodies appear to be covered with pink sheets.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, were those sheets there when you got there?
No, ma'am. We got those off the ambulance and covered up the bodies.
And why did you do that?
We typically do it to, to shield the bodies from the view of the public. There were a lot of people showing up there. The family was on the scene, and people just really don't need to see that.
Case Exhibit 24. Please describe what the jury's viewing.
That is the body of Paul, and he is laying face down at the entrance to, there's like a little utility room at the kennels. He is laying down with, you can see there's substantial damage to his head with a lot of blood around his head and what appeared to be his brain down there around his ankles.
And this is how you found Paul.
That is correct.
Okay. And you said that appears to be his brain down there by his foot?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at this point, did you check his pulse?
I did not check his pulse. He and his mother both had injuries that we consider incompatible with life. There was a lot of coagulation there where the blood had congealed, and they were not currently bleeding, which would indicate they did not have a heartbeat. And obviously, with his type of injuries, he, is not any way you could sustain his life.
And it's Case Exhibit 51.
That is Miss Maggie, and she also had severe injuries to her head. You can also see the congealed blood around the bottom where her face is, and she had a hole in her head to where you could actually see inside of her head cavity.
Was it necessary to check
That's a
Mrs.
lot.
Murdaugh's pulse or perform any life-saving treatment?
No, ma'am. And she also had injuries that were not sustainable.
And it's Case Exhibit 49. That's just where,
That's the lean-to, and that's Miss Maggie's body in front of the little side-by-side.
Listen to how you refer to her, almost like he know that lady, huh? Miss Maggie.
thank you. I have no
Person
further
like he knew her.
questions for this witness at this time.
Cross-examination.
Just one moment.
This man needs to go sit down and retire, okay? He always needs 3 people to assist him, literally.
So you're the chief of the Cobb County Fire Rescue, correct?
That is correct.
And you, in the past, have had dealings with Alec Murdaugh in a professional capacity with his law firm, correct?
That is correct.
So you recognized him, and you'd seen him before, correct?
Yes, sir.
Was his demeanor grieving, distraught, upset?
He seemed to be very upset, yes, sir.
Very upset. Now, I've got just a very few questions for you. But when you responded, and I'm going to try to get the picture, I think.
Here we go. Is that correct?
So, you recognize this from the night of June 7th?
That is correct.
And those headlights facing us, are those the headlights from the Suburban?
That would be a vehicle that was south of the location, so the police car would have been north.
Right, but is that Mr. Murdaugh's vehicle, or do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay. So when you got there, you indicated to somebody that they needed to preserve some tire tracks, correct?
That is correct. Over to the right-hand side, there's 3 rows of, I guess, where they could park equipment underneath the lean-to. And the farthest one over, there was no equipment in it, but there were some tire tracks coming out of it.
And, I mean, how did you come to see those? Did you you drove in off of Moselle Road, correct?
I drove in off of Moselle Road. The deputy parked in this little driveway here between the kennel and the lean-to.
Right.
I parked at the end of the lean-to. Where I was at, I activated my scene lights, which are all the way across the front of the light bar.
The scene lights?
They're
high-intensity lights?
High-intensity, bright white lights.
Okay.
So it was very dark, and I could see the tire tracks over to the right.
So as we look at this view,
They're not visible in this picture.
I understand that, but
Okay.
would the area you were be to
To the right,
this side or the other side?
other side.
Okay, over to this side.
That is correct.
And on the other side of the shed right here?
More to the bottom,
More to the bottom?
to the
Okay.
right.
So let me, maybe we have a video of this that'll be a little easier for you to look at. No signal. Like my television at home. Okay, so as you look at, stop it 1 second. No, go back the other, okay, back it up a little bit. From this perspective, can you see that perspective right there?
Yes, sir.
Hold on,
If you back up just a little bit,
back it up.
right, if you'll stop it there.
Go back.
You can see the workshop on the left.
How about do this? How about step down here, please? So we all are singing from the same sheet of music. If you'd stand over that way so these jurors can see.
There's a workshop right here,
Uh-huh.
and there's a row here, a row here, and a row here. This row is where the tire tracks were.
Damn, they got
And
4
the
different
crime
roads
scene
over their
is where?
property. I think they said it was a 1,700 acre property.
Right there's this Maggie's body is, and that's Paul's body.
Damn near
Okay.
plantation, huh?
And how far is it from where you saw those tire tracks to where their bodies were approximately?
20, 30 feet.
20 or 30 feet. And you saw, now this was gravel, grass, dirt,
Kind of similar.
sandy, but distinct tire tracks.
Yes, sir. Like
And-
one pair of tire tracks.
One pair. Okay. And you couldn't tell which direction they were going in, or, I mean,
Could have been coming in, could have been going out.
you're not a tire expert, are you?
No, sir.
Track, okay. Go ahead and have a seat.
Thank you.
So, whose attention did you bring that to?
Brought it to the attention of one of the deputies. I don't recall which one.
Was it Green, Deputy Green?
I don't recall.
Well, one of the Colleton County deputies.
Yes, sir.
And you indicated to him that it needed to be preserved, needed to be roped off, needed what?
I showed them to them and told them, I said, hey, there's some tire tracks over there. We tried to block off the driveway. I had one of our units stay out on Moselle Road, but a lot of vehicles kept driving around them. There was civilian vehicles kept coming in, and then it began raining. So at that point,
So after you told, he didn't put any yellow tape up to block it?
no, sir. They had yellow tape in front of our vehicles where we were parked, but they didn't put any yellow tape down there.
And vehicles drove around your vehicle and just drove up and down that road?
Yes, sir.
Destroying the tire track?
Well, the ones that were on the road part, not the ones under the shed.
Okay. But to your knowledge, while you were there, did anybody take any pictures of those tire tracks?
I have no idea, no, sir.
Okay. Did you see any other pieces of forensic evidence, if you will, while you were there, other than tire tracks?
There were shell casings around Miss Maggie's body.
Okay. Now, did you go over and examine Paul's body?
Yes, sir.
Did you go in the feed room?
No, sir.
Okay. Were you very careful around the body?
Yes, sir. And the Sheriff's Department started putting up the yellow tape, and as they did that we backed up and got behind it.
To take the court's indulgence.
Understand, if no life-saving measures could be taken, right? If it's no life-saving measures that could be taken on either of the two victims, you see it's a double homicide. Without question, you already see that. And you already know, because they already knew they had to call in SLED, the state's highest investigative team. If all of those three things were in play, why not just cordon off the crime scene and nobody go back there? Like, it makes no sense. There's nothing that could be done.
Indulgence, we need to go to another. No, it's right there. Okay, watch this video, and then I need to ask you a couple questions. Is this the area you were talking about where there were tire tracks?
They're over to the left. They're over to the left.
Okay, but all these vehicles that are parked up there?
That's the driveway coming in.
Okay. And then you're saying after that is where these tire tracks were?
Yes, they're over to the left of this police car. You can see my vehicle was the red and white Tahoe.
Right.
Maybe 15 feet to the left of that was where the tire tracks were.
And you pointed those out to the Carlton County Sheriff's deputy, said they needed to be preserved.
I just showed them to them. I didn't tell them what to do with them.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Yeah, read that right. Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You call your next witness.
State calls Jason Chapman.
Thank you.
I hope they hurry up and get all these people who don't know nothing to add, hurry up and get them out the way. Let's get to the meat and potatoes around here. Get to the real investigators. Get to the people who knew these people. That's my favorite witnesses, the ones who know the people.
Do you affirm the testimony about the other court shall be the truth, so help you God?
I do, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
Take a seat in the witness stand. State your name again for the record. Yes, ma'am. Spell your last name.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Walker Chapman, last name Chapman.
Mr. Chapman, Jason, just thinking into record, thank you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up, and what education did you obtain?
Sure. I'm a native, born in Walterboro. I've lived here most of my life and went in service before I was born. Tradition of us working well together. Mother Nature wasn't.
Okay, skip
Did you
past
have an
the meet and
opportunity to
greet.
observe Mr. Murdaugh that night?
I did, sir.
As part of your responsibilities there, what capacity were you there at the scene? In what capacity?
Again, investigative. I realized that, we had notified SLED to take over, but again, what we were attempting to do and what we did do was identification of any potential evidence. We marked that potential evidence. If time had allowed, it would have been photographed, and then from that point, simply protected. Absolutely zero collection of anything was done by any of my staff, with the exception of one GSR kit that was instructed by SLED.
I know, have you familiarized yourself with the body-worn video of both Deputies Green and
Noted. Thank you,
McDowell?
OG Wu Chow, that the record indicated you've
And
been in attendance.
what was your first order of business upon arrival, particularly relating to Paul?
By the time I got there, they had placed a sheet over both of the victims. It's something that, I'm not always, I don't like. I understand that a lot of times it's placed there, so the family doesn't have to see that, but prefer that it does not happen. But in this case, it is already there. And because the scene is still somewhat fluid, we talked about the inner perimeter being secure, but as reported by Mr. Murdaugh, we don't know who the defendants are. We don't know where the shooters are. We see shell casings scattered around the ground that are obviously rifle casings. There's some evidence to support that at least one or more shots into Paul were from a shotgun. That means two weapons. So were there two people? Are there other people that may be injured? So inner perimeter may be considered secure, outer perimeter not so much. So we began really quick with an inspection of the two individuals to make sure that we had not missed a weapon, or that the initial responding officers had not missed one. And we could see that Maggie.
I wasn't until he told me.
Apologize. We could see that Maggie, there was nothing laying beside her. We looked closely. Again, we didn't move her. So we went over to Paul, and I had a couple of the deputies there and a detective lift the sheet just so that we could look and make sure there wasn't a weapon underneath him. His hands were tucked, so you couldn't see underneath his body. But as best we could tell from the present state of the body, unless there was a weapon directly underneath him, there was nothing out to left or right.
All right. Captain Chapman, I'm going to direct your focus to the monitor in front of you. I'm going to play what's been marked as State's Exhibit. What's that? Oh, yeah, we need to. It's Exhibit number 1.
Yes, sir.
Marked it to the 28-minute mark on that. Just looking at the still image right now, are you familiar with the scene there? And could you describe what's going on?
Yes, sir. So that's myself, Detective Tyndall, Chief McRoy from the Colleton County Fire Rescue. Lieutenant Lonnie Nettles in the background near the perimeter, inner perimeter tape. And victim Paul Murdaugh's body to our left, there in the open doorway to the feed room.
And what are you preparing to do here?
At this point in time, double checking to see if there is a weapon. Yeah, I told you before we weren't sure whether we're talking about a full murder, a murder-suicide, active shooter scenario. Are there other suspects that may be in the woods? We knew we had the casings that matched to a rifle with some evidence to support it possibly a shotgun. So when asking if any other weapons had been found, everyone stated no. So I had them lift the sheet to make sure there wasn't the barrel of a gun or anything sticking out underneath the body.
A little bit about the scene here and your observations of what you're looking at. The kennels directly to the left. If I could direct your attention to those.
Yes, sir.
Did you notice animals in those kennels?
I believe in the 1, 2, 3, there's a couple kennels closest to the feed room that did have dogs in them. And possibly one towards the end. They weren't all full, but the ones closest to the feed room, I think there was a dog in at least 1 or 2 of them.
And was the area wet?
The area directly in front of the feed room was like wet. There was also water that tailed out of at least the first 2 kennels. The rest of the sidewalk was not wet. That water, I never saw a hose, so I'm not sure if it was leaking from something, but it was actually standing water.
And was that water present consistent with the weather at the time?
No, sir, it hadn't rained yet. Not enough to leave anything. It was a drizzle here and there.
When you observed the body of Paul, was it physically wet as well? For the clothing he was wearing?
He was saturated with obviously blood and tissue, and his clothes did appear to be wet, but almost as if like absorbed from the ground up. Not saying that someone had sprayed him with a hose or anything.
Please observe the video if you would, and I'll have a few questions afterwards.
Hey, you want to close that in? Sir? Was that? You want to close it in?
Yeah.
So the guy, the other guy, whoever Eric is the caller. There's a guy over here that's wanting to talk to him.
Don't even know who Eric is. I know Alex over there.
Alex.
Okay. There's a guy over here that wants to talk to him.
Yeah, but I don't know if you want me to tell him.
I'm trying to get the information. Is it Great Trailblazer? Correction. It's unknown what type of vehicle. She has a Great Trailblazer, and her yard belongs to her. She says she can only get a tail light from the vehicle. She is also threatening to use it for non-profit.
You know, there's a lot of people up there, a lot of walking up here.
Did you direct Deputy McDowell into the feed room area to help with lifting of the sheet?
I did, sir.
And why would you do that?
I want the sheet lifted directly up, not drug across the body. Again, I told you I'm not really a proponent of sheets, but since it was there, I would prefer that it be lifted straight up. I had already walked through to see what, if anything, right there. You can see I'm cautiously stepping there, but I'd already checked to see if we were going to be able to step to the inside of it. The spot right inside the door frame. I had looked, and I felt like he would be able to step straight in, pick the sheet up, put the sheet back down, and step back out.
And is preservation of a scene important?
It is
In
important.
your line of work?
Absolutely.
Is equally important securing the scene and making sure that you understand if there's any loose firearms around or that there's any other
It is, again.
uncontrolled circumstances going on?
It is. Again, you know, the sole purpose of this right here is to help determine whether or not I have any suspects still on the move or if there's a weapon underneath him.
Thank you.
Well, the desk over there. Actually, hold. The people just want to look. Fire rescue might have some more sheets we can steal. That's why it shouldn't be about 5 people. All four areas and more.
Is this you looking for the gun?
It is, sir.
What do you notice about the body physically laid there, of Paul's body?
Feet towards the feed room, head towards the driveway, hands tucked underneath the body, fairly saturated in blood. Majority of the head is gone. There's a lot of tissue, what appears to be at least some of the brain or most of the brain lying on the opposite side from me to the victim. Wet, again, I'm assuming probably from soaking up rain or water, whatever that is, off the sidewalk. And a smartphone sitting propped up on the back of him.
Was Paul's person saturated in physical matter and blood?
Yes.
And his hands, were they accessible to anyone without, could you have touched Paul's hands or wrists without physically moving him?
I can't actually see his hands at this point in time.
Fell down on top of him? Is that
They're
what you're
underneath
saying?
his body, yes, sir.
What did you observe that was laying on top of Paul's body right there?
Again, it was a smartphone.
Did you have a chance to examine that smartphone, get fairly close to it?
I got close to it, I didn't pick it up. I was present when it was actually collected later, but it was not collected at this point.
And later on, it was, describe the collection process that occurred after this.
It was collected by myself and Agent David Owens. I believe he's going to be your case agent. As far as collection of that, I stood by as a witness as he collected. He had on rubber gloves. It was picked up. He didn't actually do any manipulation of the device in front of me. It was bagged as evidence and placed in the vehicle.
Was the phone physically bloody?
I don't recall any blood or water on the phone. I'm not saying that microscopically there wasn't, but I don't recall from the naked eye seeing anything.
That's what I'm asking about.
No, sir.
From your observations, was it wet from either water or blood?
No, sir.
And when it was lifted off of Paul's shorts, did it leave like a mark of blood or water or anything like that?
Not that I recall, no, sir.
I haven't asked the dad about the phone, but dad did say he came over and checked her pulses. Beyond that, I don't know what else he made. He had a shotgun. He did have a shotgun with him, and I have secured that in my vehicle. Yes, that's right.
Were you able to locate a firearm underneath the body of Paul?
When the coroner's office arrived and the crime scene unit and victim Paul was eventually moved, there was not a firearm underneath.
Are you familiar with the rifle round called .300 Blackout?
I am, sir.
Is that in your 26 years of experience, is that a caliber that you come across with any frequency?
In the last couple of years, probably more than ever, but in all the crime scenes that I've worked, I believe this was
I wonder if,
at the
let's pause. I wonder if this trial is one. Right. When that's why I'm being real patient. I know that I have to learn how to have some patience, right? And I know that everything kind of really does matter, especially like when a trial this big, so we have to come back to it. But I also wonder if this is one of those trials that's so big and so long, right? If it may be good to go through and doing like these more technical or whatever testimonies, show the cheat sheet versions, because on Court TV the playlist for this trial is like over 50 videos, and so like from each day they got the highlight testimonies, right? And I'm kind of thinking that might be worth my while to take the time out, and look into that. And look and see, like, if they say day 2 and they show, like, they might show this officer, but they might only just show the part that was the most important part of what he's saying. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? So we're going to figure out how best to watch this trial, because I'm not familiar with the ins and outs of the trial itself. I don't know what parts, the best of parts. I don't know what parts are the best of,
the time, the second ever in my career that had a 300 blackout as far as being involved in a homicide.
But we didn't made it through the 2 hours, child. Tomorrow, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to do something for tomorrow.
Is it part of your responsibility and your duties to sort of direct what people do? You're the person in charge?
It is, sir.
Does that free you up to do other things? If you have your deputies doing the tasks that you have assigned them?
If possible, yes, sir, sometimes.
And on this particular instance and this night, were you able to observe
over tonight, I'm going to go watch the
and see what he was up to?
Yes, sir. I spoke to him on a few occasions.
Whenever you're investigating a case, I'm going to ask you about items that you might designate as points that you need to address.
Yes, sir.
You describe what that might mean. What's in general like an investigative point or investigative cue that you need to focus on?
Anything that we hear or see that, based on the limited amount of knowledge we have at that particular point, just creates a unknown, something that may need further investigation, something that maybe doesn't necessarily correspond with the evidence on scene or with the statement made by somebody. It's something that just we need to follow up on. It can't just be left alone or accepted as fact.
What are some of the physical observations? I'm going to ask you about physical observations of Mr. Murdaugh. Did he appear to be, at least outwardly, did he appear to be upset?
Yes, sir, he did.
Did you?
Oh, I wonder if, don't tell me. I wonder if they're going to say, did he appear to be tweaking? Did he appear to be high as fuck? Let's see.
Were you close enough to observe whether or not he actually cried or had tears in his eyes?
He was upset, definitely upset. I got up to him, again, like I said, I spoke to him on at least 2 different occasions, and he was breathing hard. His facial expressions were that of, torment. But did I physically see him crying? I did not. He was sweating, but he wasn't crying.
What did you observe about his clothing?
Clothing was clean. Didn't see anything that stuck out, and obviously no dirt or blood or anything that indicated he had been rolling around on the ground or that he had, been involved or anything up to that point.
I'm going to ask you about something you do when you're arriving on a scene, particularly if it's a homicide. Do you have a practice of phoning or having dispatch send you the 911 call?
Yes, we do.
Why would you do that?
We get a lot of information from 911 calls, more so than the average person, I think, would believe. And it's over the years, we've had several cases where had we not gone back and looked at that initial 911 call, we would have missed some very important information or information that could have cleared up some unknowns, those points of investigation you talked about much sooner. So in our investigative process, that's now one of the things that we try to do relatively quickly. In this case, with the scene being fluid and not knowing if we had suspects on the loose, I opted to go ahead and do that. And it took a minute for them to get caught up, as busy as they were, but they were able to get on the phone with me and play the 911 call for me.
So were you able to hear the 911 call?
I was.
And are you listening to that 911 call both for content but also critically and trying to examine the things that are said?
Oh, absolutely. We're listening for noises in the background, exactly what is said versus what we see, so forth.
So with that awareness of everything
I've
that was
seen
said
them
on
do
the
that a lot of
911 call,
times.
do you then take that information and apply it to the scene?
Yes, sir.
And are you applying that information to try to see if it checks out, to see if things are consistent with what you heard on the 911 call?
Yes, sir.
And on the 911 call, did Mr. Murdaugh indicate that he had tried to examine the bodies or check their pulses?
Yes, I believe dispatch stated, do not touch if you haven't. And Mr. Murdaugh replied that he had touched them, checking them.
To check and see if they're breathing?
And which would be expected, absolutely.
Upon examination, Mr. Murdaugh, did you
Are you
have a
putting
chance
no
to look at
blood
his
on
hands?
Again, I did talk to him, yes, sir.
Did you have a chance to look at his shirt?
I did.
And did you see any indication that there was any blood on any part of his body?
No, sir. Not, again, just physically with my observations, no microscope there. I did not see any blood anywhere.
And in your experience with viewing Paul's body, had you physically touched Paul, would there have been blood left on your hands?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
Response?
Physically saw the body, and he cannot testify to the locations that would be touched and whether it would transfer.
Does he know what location he touched?
I'll lay a foundation. I'll ask a few more questions.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chapman, Captain Chapman, going back to your experience in life-saving procedures, are there common areas that someone might touch to check the pulse if they were indicating they're check breathing?
Objection, Your Honor. The question is, where did Mr. Murdaugh touch the body for a pulse? Was it the neck?
Objection is overruled. The prosecutor is asking the question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Is there common areas that someone might check a body to check for, if they've indicated
Why you
they're
not
checking
sitting
for breathing,
back
are there
down?
common areas that someone might check?
No, I believe the most common, the neck and the wrist, that you see that, people with limited training would probably use. I'm sure there are others with medical training.
So the neck and the wrist. And please tell me where Paul's wrists were located when you discovered his body.
They're up underneath his body.
And was Paul's neck accessible? If his wrists were underneath his body, was his neck accessible?
I think you can get the portions of his neck. I don't know that you'd be able to get under, he's face down, and I didn't try to get a pulse, but where I know that you would check would be difficult without manipulating the body in some fashion, I guess.
And if you had...
Now, see, all the other people been very, very painfully graphic, and this guy is trying not to be as horrifically graphic, right? Because from every other description, description of Paul, basically, he probably didn't even have no neck. They said that the whole back half and brains and everything was blowed off of Paul. They literally said that all he had was the front part of his face. So I think that's what he's trying to be very, diplomatic about right now and censor himself. But it's no way that he could have checked his pulse like that and not have blood on him. Miss Steph 219. Who asked the question? Miss Steph 219. I found the name of it. The name of it is called. It's a Netflix The one they keep talking about is what's the Netflix documentary. I got the name of it right here. Oh, I closed it down. It's called A Southern. Hold on. I put it on my to watch list to start tonight. Let me see. Yeah, I know I'll be watching all these movies and shows because I don't have all these different streaming things. I done told y'all I watch all my stuff on this app called WODFIX. I love that app. Let me see. It's called Murdaugh Murders, A Southern Scandal on Netflix. Murdaugh Murders, A Southern Scandal. It's 2 seasons, but both seasons have 3 episodes, and the episodes are only 34 minutes. Let me see. 34 minutes long, about 33 minutes. So it should be something easy to breeze through, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go watch that so I can get a little bit more inside scoop and so I can know when they talking about it, right? Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and end this tonight, and I'm going to have to see, this is going forward. I need to be more diligent, right, about doing a little bit more footwork before we start a trial. And what I mean by footwork is I need to look at least like the first week, look at the first few days and go ahead and know what witnesses come in. I need to know, is it a trial that actually show the evidence, don't show the evidence, because it's always more interesting when we can see the evidence, right? So we're learning as we go. And I'm gonna get a little bit more diligent about this particular trial so I can know what's ahead of us and I can have actually the best of, right? For our daytime trial, I did that, right? So the next time we meet during the day, which is not gonna be tomorrow, but the next day, I literally know, boom, we're gonna go to this witness, we're gonna go to this witness, had a timestamps and be ready. You know, so hey, we are work in progress over here. I want to thank y'all for joining me tonight. I want to thank D Love for becoming the official Lit Lane juror. I want to thank all my Lit Lane jurors that come every day, every night, my bailiffs, my other dignitaries up in here, my OCM, official court mediator. She has something to take care of tonight, living. I want to shout out to my sergeant at arms, Lady Steph, and Winter. Bye, humbug. Good night, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow night, not tomorrow day. Okay? All right.
Thanks for watching. Do not forget, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Like, comment, and share. See you next time. Thanks for watching.